All right, so we're going to use a new installation. I want to go ahead and talk with you guys about texturing, and so we can get a little head start on materials and texturing for your models. First, let's discuss how Maya thinks of textures. And it can actually be broken into two ingredients, materials and textures. What you think of textures are actually two different things. So when you think of materials, it's actually how the surface reacts to light. Is it shiny? Is it matte? Is it brushed aluminum? Is it glass? Is it water? These are all material attributes, like how does it interact with light? And Maya thinks of textures, it's actually thinking of more about the image that's applied to the model. So, for example, a soda can is always going to be a certain aluminum for the material. However, the texture for that material could change from being 7 Up, Coca Cola, Dr. Pepper, etc. So, knowing this, let's learn how to apply a new material to our model and follow along exactly for now. I'm going to show you how to mess around with some more advanced textures pretty soon, but this should be plenty to get started with. So let's start off by getting familiar with materials first. I'm going to go ahead and create a sphere. I'm going to duplicate it and make 3 spheres so that we can kind of compare a couple of these materials. So by default, these already have a material on it, and it's called Lambert 1. It's the default shader, and we don't edit the default shader. You can actually come up here to the very top, this little blue eyeball. If you click on that, it'll pull up your Hypershade, which is your material manager, and you can see that these are our 3 default materials, and Lambert 1 is right here. This is our initial shading group. We don't change this one. We're actually going to make new ones to edit. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to select this first sphere. I'm going to hold right click, and down here you'll find assign new material. So let's assign a new material to this guy. And then it's going to pull up a window that will ask you what type of material you want it to be. There's 3 that I'm going to show you guys. So for right now, let's actually start off with our default shader, Lambert. So this material is kind of a matte color. It's good for anything that's not shiny at all. And I'm going to go ahead and name this. You can see that it says Lambert 2 right here. I'm going to name this something silly or stupid like my first Lambert. I'm going to zoom back out. Okay, so you can see we have some of the basic material attributes right here. We have our color, transparency. I can actually click on, this is a scroll wheel that goes from black to white, so I'm actually going to click on that square right there and change it to be red. Yeah, that's a good color. I can also change the transparency. I can change ambient color, which means no shadows. You can see there's no shadows on this anymore, but I don't like that. So if you ever want to find your material attribute again, you can see when I deselect it, it disappears. If I hold right click over it, I can go down to material attributes, and that might be easier to get to. Material attributes. It'll pull this up. So we were talking about the material attributes that we have. This is in the attribute editor. This is our new window. So kind of it's up here right next to our channel box button. This is our attribute editor. And I'm going to change the ambient color to be back to there. All right. So that's our Lambert for starters. I'm going to select the second one now, and I'm going to hold right click on it. I'm going to assign I can assign an existing material. I don't have to redo this whole process. I can go back to assign my first Lambert. And when I make a change to this, it'll change both of them because that material is applied to both. But I don't want that. I'm going to make a new material. I'm going to hold right click, assign a new material, and I want you to create a Blin, B-L-I-I-N, or that's not how you spell it, but you saw it. So we'll keep rolling. Blin, I'm going to name this one as well. It's going to be my first Blin with 1 I. But I'm going to change the color to red as well. And now you can see that this is kind of like a dull shine. This is good for aluminum, or like the soda can example. It's good for any kind of not highly reflective material, but like maybe like a wood table. It's like has a little bit of reflectivity, but it doesn't. You can't see your reflection in it. That's what Blin is good for. Let's go ahead and come over here to this third one. You guessed it. Let's assign a new material. I'm going to make this one a Fong. And Fong and Fongi are very similar. Fong has a tighter highlight. You can see actually right here, a lot tighter outline to the highlight, whereas there's a little more fall off on Fong E, but they're very similar. There's no difference in terms of as far as I'm concerned. You can use either one. And let's title this my millionth Fong, because I've done this a couple times. Let's change the color to red. And this one's going to be much more reflective. You'll actually be able to see, when you go to render, you won't be able to see it right now because this is kind of a sketch. It's not very high fidelity rendering of what this actually looks like. But if I go to render it, I can see a reflection in this. I could use this as a polished metal. I could use this as a mirror. I could use this as chrome. Uh, Very useful material to have. And also, if I pull up my Hypershade again, you can see that we have more materials in here. So I don't have to keep creating these materials, just trying to differentiate these. Let's change these colors a bit, just so you can see them. All right. So you don't have to keep recreating the same material over and over and over again if you want to apply the same color to multiple objects. You could just select it and hold right click, assign existing material, and here are all my materials. Again, just a reminder, don't edit Lambert 1. Let's keep that just the gray because that can cause some weird problems. Okay, so there's your rapid introduction to materials. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you guys how to add some textures.